You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek Unlimited.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek Unlimited. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me is no one this week. Well, at least not for this part of the episode. We do have a topic discussion idea set in stone. So there is that. You can kind of expect that coming later this week. There was an event with a local broadcaster that TFG1 Mike knows. I think Jesse Raz is his name, from a local radio station. And he did this more or less publicity stunt PSA, but it was a legitimate one of showing the results of sitting in a hot car with no air conditioning to kind of show, because the statistic of how many kids died last year in hot cars and whatnot. Now, not to mention pets or whatever else. He's a grown man and he did it, and was starting to have issues after the hour mark, and he was, healthy enough to survive that entire endeavor with health people on the premises. So Mike and I are going to be doing a Geekcast radio episode that'll be syndicated over here on Altered Geek, but not on the actual podcast. It'll be a special episode, so just look for that, where he's going to hopefully get to speak to the guy about it, and then we'll get a couple other geeky parents, and Mike will facilitate the conversation. So look forward to that, because it's obviously a very important thing, and I feel strongly about it being a parent and having two kids. So it's one of those things that, again, I hope that you tune into it. So that being said, I didn't record an Altered Geek last week. We ended up running over about an hour on a record with the top 50 video game franchises. We did the top 25 to 01, and in the process we had TFG1 Mike the Birdman Dodd, Mike Powers, Neil, and myself. So there were 5 of us on the panel. TFG1 Mike's audio, he kind of died out around the number 8 mark, because his ISP, Time Warner Cable, decided to do a scheduled maintenance from the 1 a.m. to however long it took them to finish. And we were still recording at the time, so I had to facilitate after that point. So it went a little bit faster, and we got through the entire gamut of video games. And if you're interested in finding out where a specific game landed or a franchise landed on the list, feel free to leave the comments in the episode post below, and I will respond to them either in the podcast next week, or I'll do them in the comment section, depending on what's asked. So that being said, we actually had a pretty good discussion going. There were some things that Mike and myself and Neil didn't know anything about, but thankfully we had the powers of Mike Powers and Birdman Dodd to kind of contribute to the games we didn't know anything about, because they're hardcore gamers, and like I've mentioned myself, I'm a casual gamer, but I kind of one-up Blanchard in some degree, and he's got his set of games he likes, I've got my set of games I like. Neil's more of a classic gamer. So Powers and Birdman are pretty much the main speaking points for parts of the games. But I feel like this episode we redeemed ourselves, because we had some people that knew about some of the modern games that we may not have known about. So I hope you guys will tune into that. It was definitely a learning experience. So yeah, there's that. We also celebrated our 7 years of Geekcast Radio episode, where I have not listened to the edited version yet, where Mike has thrown in clips, and I did the intro clip, mixing some of our previous intro music, and then added in our new intro music made by David Moyen of MF Music on Fiverr and SoundCloud, and the guy did a spectacular job. We gave him some of the kind of JLU Batman-esque music to kind of play off of, because we wanted that vibe, but we didn't want to, obviously, we wanted something that was ours, and I'm very pleased with what came out. So there's that. You won't hear that long 2-minute clip that was put together at the beginning anymore. It'll just be the kind of 30 seconds, but it'll fade in a lot earlier. So there should be a lot less cut-in time. The Altered Geek one, we did one as well. I'm not particularly sure if I like it or not, so be sure to let me know on the episode post. It was on last week's episode, so if you didn't hear it on there, check it out and let me know. If you have a better option for intro music that you think I should try, give me a holler. I'm open to suggestions. I know that the episodes have kind of been a little wonky with just having me do them. That will return to normal status this week. This is just an early episode of the week, and there were quite a few things I wanted to cover. Regardless, I kind of am shooting to do 2 different shows with Altered Geek, besides a video show. And I do plan to do a video show as well as a YouTube or a video game streaming episode. I'm going to do a news show, and I'm going to do a topic show of Altered Geek. So there'll be kind of a split. And I'm hoping by doing so, I can cut down the episode length, but I can kind of combine what I'm hoping to show. Like, I'd like to do the discussion, and I'd actually like to have like little discussions, like multiple topics, and not necessarily cover the news, but I also want to cover the news because it's something I'm really interested in. So if a certain few topics may hit into the main show, that's how I'll do it. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think about kind of doing it in that fashion. Maybe having like shorter bursts of Altered Geek with kind of the quick hits of the show and then moving on, or just having it all inclusive. But either way, there's still going to be segments in the show. It's still going to be kind of an interesting setup, I'm hoping at least. So with that said, I'm going to take a quick break and come back with the Altered Geek News Network.
You're listening to the Altered Geek News Network.
And welcome back to the show. So, getting on my first tirade, there's been quite a few superhero-y news articles. First off the gamut, Jeff Johns revealed the official title of the Justice League movie called simply Justice League. Now, I think this is very smart strategy because they don't have to... I think Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, I think was just too long, and I think it could have just been summed up with, Batman v Superman, or, World's Finest, or something to that degree. It could have been done a lot differently. But anyways, I like that they're going with just plain Justice League. It leaves you kind of wanting to know what's going to happen, but it's giving us that official Justice League, kind of like we had the Avengers. It was just the Avengers, I'm fine with that. I think it's a great idea. So, moving on, Stephen Amell, a.k.a. Arrow, wants to have Kevin Smith in the Arrow writer's room. And if you didn't know, he did some comics of Green Arrow at some point, as well as Batman comics. So and then he directed that episode of The Flash. So it could be beneficial to have Kevin Smith, who's a hardcore comic fan, involved with the TV show. Marvel Studios, according to Joe Quesadilla, has reacquired the rights to Namor. I don't know too much about him, but I know that Marvel is slowly getting back their library of characters, which could be really interesting as we get closer to phasing out like our Captain Americas and our Iron Man. So with that being said, I'm hoping that Marvel gets some of their stuff, because I know that like Chris Evans and the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, all those guys had kind of said that they'd love to see the X-Men get involved with the Marvel Cinematic Universe during Infinity War. But it's a few years away, so who knows what can happen. There's only time to tell. So a reporter asked an unusual question about Brie Larson possibly playing Captain Marvel, who was recently in the Academy Award-winning movie Room. And she's like, who? Isn't that a dude? And she had no idea who the character was, which kind of conflicts with what some people were saying previously. Was like, oh yeah, she's in talks, she'd love to do it, blah 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 blah, which didn't. They were just grabbing for article topics. I think she'd make a perfect choice for adding somebody that's not particularly well known, but that's an Academy Award winner, and kind of giving rise to this first major Marvel Superwoman character, essentially currently they're basically Wonder Woman. So I think that would be a strong choice. I would support it. I mean, I'd go see that. I'm quite honestly kind of tired of a lot of the Marvel stuff, but I think myself, like, I'm personally growing out of a lot of the superhero films because, one, they've gotten too dark, and two, I don't particularly care anymore. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, being a comic fan or a geek. I'm kind of wanting to see stuff we've never seen before instead of rehashing or following the same script and formula. I'm kind of just done with it. I don't really know why. I'm enjoying the television more than I am the films, but I think it's because I get a lot more out of the television series than I do the films at this point. And plus, the television series are more, I don't know, family friendly. I've recently kind of gone under this transformation of not really liking any of my movies to have a lot of swearing in it. If you've noticed a lot of my podcasts, I have not personally been swearing all that much, if at all. I'm trying to clean up my personal act, so like I don't really want to be associated with any of it. I swore like a sailor. It made me depressed. Like I personally get depressed really easily with life to some degree, which is kind of hard for me to admit, being that I've got this wonderful family, I've got my kids, I've got my animals, I've got this great site, I've got all these great friends. But like I feel like the more I get tuned into the media side of things, like the television and the films, and the more dark stuff I see, the more it just kind of, I don't know, puts a damper on me. And yeah, I can enjoy the films for what they are, but I wish that I could almost get like a cleansed version of half these movies. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people that would boycott a film and say, oh, you have to have a rated G version of Deadpool, because if you don't have the rated G version, you can go, whatever. I'm not one of those people. If it's not to my liking, I just won't watch it. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people that has to imprint my thoughts and tastes on someone else because I just don't find it right. Who am I to tell somebody else what they should watch or what they, it's not my place. If you want to watch it, great. I'm not saying any ill will against anybody. And I've been kind of having this conscious trip since before I saw Deadpool. And then it's just it keeps hitting me harder. And I enjoyed Deadpool, and I enjoyed Batman v Superman for what they were. I enjoyed Captain America Civil War, which that was clean. I didn't have a problem with that. That was actually a really good movie. A lot better than Batman v Superman. I enjoyed Batman v Superman for the reasons I've stated before, but I don't know. I'm kind of getting to that point. I really don't want to see any of it anymore if it's going to be too dark, gruesome. That's why I like the animated realm, and even that's getting dark now. And the television part is, I find, the safest part for me to enjoy without feeling guilty about watching it. And so, like, I enjoy it a lot more. And I know I've kind of gone off on a tangent from talking the superhero stuff and whatnot, but it's something I've gotten to feel more strongly about the more my kid has gotten older. Like, he's 3 and the other one's 1, but I still, I don't know if it's the old person parent part of me coming out, or if it's just I'm getting worn down from seeing it. I don't know. So moving on to another topic, before I go into another weird tirade. We have Arrow Season 5 to introduce new vigilante, and I don't really say what, and they're going to have a new villain that's going to be kind of more normal. I think it'd be funny if they made Anarchy, the guy that's been showing up in Arrow, like, be the villain, with his full-blown costume and just be really weird. Because that'd be kind of as close to, like, the Riddler Joker type scenario that we're going to get. Since they like taking Batman villains anyway. Not saying that he has to be a Batman villain, but it'd just be interesting to me. They explain why Batman the Killing Joke got delayed twice, and again, it's because R-rated movies didn't do well until the rise of Deadpool, so now they're like, hey, let's do it. So, Supergirl Season 2 is finally going to have Superman on the show in season 2. And they don't say if it's going to be young Superman or if it's going to be modern Superman. Personally, I hope it's modern Superman. If they pull a Tom Welling with it, great, because I think that would be actually really funny. But time will tell. Either way, I'm happy because they'll have Superman, Supergirl, and Martian Manhunter in that universe, which means theoretically you could have Batman in there as well, but they probably won't do that. And then with them crossing over with the Flash, you'll have Flash, Green Arrow, the Atom. You'll have Vibe. You'll have all these heroes, like this collection of Justice League characters. So it'll make a really strong foundation for the DC television universe. And Stephen Amell teases a 4-night DC TV crossover event, which I find myself highly infatuated with because I like the crossovers, especially with the 4 shows, which should be really fun. Getting into some non-superhero topics, we have Anthony Hopkins joining Transformers The Last Night, which I'm wondering to what capacity he's going to return, or not return, but what capacity he's going to play in the show. I'm just curious about it because for him to join on, who's got this screen presence, I'm really curious. So there must be something that's drawing Anthony Hopkins to the film. So I'll hold off reservations for it. And then of course they have the creators of Archer are thinking about making a live action movie, and they want John Hamm to star as Archer, which I think is actually a remarkable casting idea because. Although I have not watched Archer, other than the commercials that have come up, I think that he fits the look really well. So I would be down to check that out, even though I know that it's going to be filthy. So Mark Hamill, which is kind of fun for me, is joining Pop Culture Quest coming this fall to ComicConHQ, which, if you don't know about it, I signed up for it to kind of check it out. You can live stream, and this is something that we mentioned in a previous show a year ago, where we wish there was a site that would stream all the Comic-Cons during the event so you can see all the panels and not have to go. And I know that I think we reported that there was a site coming. Well, this is that site. And they have a lot of geek content, a lot of cartoons, a lot of films, a lot of movies, a lot of custom shows. One of them is a news show with Trisha Hirschberger from YouTube and SourceFed. And then Mark Hamill's going to have Pop Culture Quest, where he kind of goes through collections of toys and geekdom. So I'm kind of really excited to see everything that they turn out. And then there's this weird one. Warner Brothers is considering management changes at DC Comics. And when I read this, I was like, okay, so what's going on? Are they going to split Warner Brothers and DC? Are they going to, how is this going to go down? Because technically, Warner Brothers is a pictures company, and DC is now having their own production company. So I'm wondering, they're saying in the next 6 months, there's going to be some wider management changes from its parent company, Warner Brothers, while the report names DC Comics, it focuses on the movie management of DC Comics films by Warner Brothers. So I'm wondering if they're going to split off their cinematic divisions. Like DC will have its own cinematic division, and Warner Brothers can focus on, your Harry Potters and your Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So, but they're saying that they may have a different creative development production person kind of running it. I don't know. I'm just waiting to see what more comes out of this because there's not really all that much besides specific name. They don't cite any names or positions from people. That it's all unnamed sources, but they're saying that there's going to be a shakeup. So I'm kind of curious what's going to go on with that. So yeah, that rounds it out for Altered Geek News Network. So stay tuned after the break.
Welcome to the Wicked Radio Network.
Want to interact with the show? You can contact us in the following ways.
You can call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. You can email us feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can visit the episode post on geekcastradio.com or alteredgeek.com. You can get a hold of us on Twitter @alteredgeek. Look for us every week on geekcastradio.com, of course, Stitcher Smart Radio, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and alteredgeek.com. And now, back to the show.
And we're back with Altered Gaming. So there was a pretty cool article that I saw on Geek.com from CompuLab. They want to make a silent, fanless Xbox, which would be awesome because it might stop that red ring of death type of thing. It might stop the overheating the giant devices. But they're saying that it could refresh, could combine power and stealth, so you wouldn't hear it, and it would run better. So the great thing with these gaming consoles and fan thing is CompuLab thinks that they have what it takes to put a stop to it. They're now licensing their natural airflow technology, the same hardware that allows them to keep their air-top systems running cool even under heavy workloads. They're saying that it packs dozens of heat pipes into flat panels that can easily dissipate heat from a Core i7 CPU and an NVIDIA GTX 950 GPU. CompuLab says a two-panel system is capable of coping with up to 200 watts. So, theoretically, they could chop the dimensions of the Xbox One in half in size, allowing... they're saying that the AirTop can pack 4 2.5-inch drives and enough processing and graphical power to drive the 4 4K displays, and they measure just 4 inches by 12 inches by 10 inches. So they're showing that it could be significantly slimmer as a device and allow the device to not getting damaged with the system overheats. I think that this would be a great idea for future consoles or refreshes, because that would... Because I hear my Xbox all the time winding up or blowing through the air or getting super hot because it has to dissipate the heat, and then I have animals, so the hair build up, so I have to clean them out. So I like this idea a lot. So there's a YouTuber who made a Wii Boy, and they emulated a Nintendo Wii and somehow configured a classic Game Boy and redesigned it so that it could play Nintendo Wii emulator in games, which, I'll post that in the episode post. You can check that out. There's also a complete E3 2016 live stream schedule on Polygon that I have listed that are for each specific company's E3 feeds that they're going to have on YouTube for their live stream. So be sure to check that out. I'm looking forward to that because I'm probably going to be watching as far as Mass Effect and Battlefield and Batman and anything else that I'm interested in that pops up. So I'm also wanting to hear what you guys think about live streaming. I kind of posed a question on the comments. I've tried Twitch and I've tried YouTube Gaming. There's two different things I like about them. YouTube Gaming I enjoy more because it goes directly to my YouTube and saves there. Whereas if I do it on my Twitch, it makes me save the file. It saves it on Twitch, don't get me wrong. It saves the video play there. But then I have to download it to my computer and then upload it to YouTube in order to get it to go there. Whereas I almost find I enjoy better and plus I don't want to deal with all the trying to monetize it and trying to get all that stuff. I just want to play and just have fun and have people watch me or communicate. I almost like the YouTube setup better because it goes directly to it. I can post the information and it's done. And I use Xfire Xfire Split broadcaster software to kind of manage both and stream and record. So it's been pretty fun, and I tried it out, and I reduced the settings so that the HD quality is 720p quality, but it's a lot faster. So I can actually play at normal speeds and actually enjoy the game while I'm playing. So I did manage to tweak that. That is a difference from the first time I played and recorded. So I did 2 or 3 live streams since that one, which are on my YouTube channel of Altered Geek Entertainment under the Altered Gaming playlist. So be sure to check that out. And I have some various gameplays. I played Metro Massacre, which is one of my favorite levels, and then of Operation Metro. And then I played another one that was kind of a gamut of different maps. I didn't do particularly well, but I enjoyed playing it, and the speed was about where I expected. So I'll probably play that again later this week. I did sign up If you want to play with me on Xbox Live, I am BW Megatron, BW_Megatron on Xbox Live, so check me out there. And I've been particularly playing Battlefield 4. So that's it with Altered Gaming. Let me know about your live streaming experiences and how you've done things, or how you do whatever, or what you watch, or what you enjoy, or whether you do like listen to a live podcast that's while somebody's playing a game, so you have something to look at while you're listening. So sound off in the comments and let me know. So we'll be back after this.
Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
So I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the show, and that is our sponsor, which is Loot Crate. Their June themed box is Dystopia. And so Loot Crate is obviously a monthly subscription box service for epic geek and gamer items and pop culture gear. For less than $20 a month, you can get 6 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique items that are one of a kind. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive this month's crate. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/GCRN and enter the promo code TBV to save $3 off any new subscription. Obviously, with Dystopia, we have to talk about the pop culture that is full of brave new worlds and societies in flux that don't always turn out for the best. June's theme is exploring some of the ways that things could go wrong with Dystopian, featuring classics, RoboCop, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, The Matrix, and new favorites, BioShock Infinite and Fallout 4. We've got a figure, cool collectible, and of course, our dystoporific monthly tea. So be sure to check out our sponsor, Loot Crate. That being said, my question of the day is, what would you like to hear come out of Altered Geek? I'm really enjoying like the segmented show and doing things a little bit differently. I do have a few guests that are coming that are a little bit different in variety. Some people that have had voices on GCRN stuff before. Some that I've podcasted with before. I'm trying to kind of expand the scope of some of our topics and not necessarily get into the same kind of tirades. That, and I'm kind of wanting to experiment. I'm wanting to play and converse with other people. So be sure to leave that in the comment section below. So until next time, I've been Steve Megatron Phillips saying get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.